mutual health insurance schemes into the National Health Insurance Scheme. The mandate of the National Health Insurance Scheme has also changed over the years from the 2003 financing of basic health care services to persons resident in the country to the 2012 objective of providing universal health insurance coverage for all residents and persons on a visit to the country. Although the scheme has struggled since its inception to meet claims of active members from service providers, the recent misapplication of funds collected as levies and state contributions for other government projects, in addition to increase in non-core activities of the fund, has placed the fund into medical comatose. Every health insurance scheme requires a constant flow from its funding streams and elbow room to invest a portion of its inflows if it were to stay viable. Whilst meeting its mandate, we will demonstrate to you that the actions of this government are undermining the crucial objective. Under President Akufo-Addo, lodging of the National Health Insurance Levy and the 2.5% of the state contributions to the National Health Insurance Fund has been left to the dictates of the Finance Minister in contravention of Section 52(1) of the National Health Insurance Act 852, which states that, and I quote, "The minister responsible for finance shall within 30 days after collection of the levy cause the levy to be paid directly into the fund and furnish the minister responsible for health and the authority with evidence of payment," unquote. Neither has the minister accounted to Parliament biannually, that is every 6 months, per the law, as expressly required by Section 52(2), which also states that, and I quote, "The minister responsible for finance shall present to Parliament every 6 months a report on payment of levies into the fund." Whilst in opposition, the then flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, claimed that the National Health Insurance Scheme was dead and that he was coming to revive it. However, his annual payment toward the National Health Insurance Scheme tells a different story. A study of the National Health Insurance Fund allocation formula for 2022 shows that of the 2.056 billion collected from Ghanaians as National Health Insurance Levy in 2021, only 127.4 million Ghana cedis, or 6% of the total collected, was released by this government to address the obligations of the year. It is that not surprising that the providers of services under the scheme, that is the hospitals, pharmacies, laboratories, etc., are often outraged, claiming arrears in reimbursement. This, however, not unique to 2021. In 2020, out of the 2.335 billion Ghanaians paid as National Health Insurance Levy and state contributions for the fund, only 790.29 million, or 31%, was released to address claims for the year 2020. 2019 figures were 721.09 million out of 1.262, or 57%. 2018 figures were 506.80 out of 1.579.9 billion, or 32%. We want to emphasize that since Nana Akufo-Addo took over as president, an average of 41.2% of collections due to the National Health Insurance Scheme has been released, compared to 73.25% under President Mahama. However, how anyone can expect the scheme to pay its providers and have funds to invest is a question only the President, through his Finance Minister, can answer. And ladies and gentlemen, I have provided you with a table of the collections and the releases from 2013 to 2021. And we have given you the graph. We've gone a step further to give you the graph. And you clearly can see that the minimum that was paid under President Mahama, okay, Nanado's maximum or highest doesn't even add up to the minimum that was paid under President Mahama. We can only conclude that there is a concerted effort to build arrears into the future by paying very little to cover current claims on the fund. The situation is untenable, so if not addressed, could accelerate and gradually collapse the fund. Because the government has failed to transmit National Health Insurance Levy funds collected from Ghanaians to the National Health Insurance Fund, the fund has resulted to disinvestment or withdrawals from its investment to deal with current liabilities. This has resulted in a situation which an investment fund that had 104.32 million as the closing balance for 2014 reduced to as low as 80.13 million in 2020, with interest income flowing the same trend of reducing from 21.7 million to 5.18 million in 2020. The 104 million closing balance for 2014 could at least address 1.25 months of claims should the fund rely on its investment only without addition. Today, same cannot be said of the fund. The balance of 80.13 million can at least cover claims for less than a month or 3 weeks. If the depreciation of the cedi between 2014 and now is factored in, the true value of the investment fund can be said to even worse. So on the revenue side, government is paying less and less for current claims on the fund. This investment is reducing closing balances to the extent that should there be any shock, the fund will find it very difficult to cover claims. Consequent to the reduction in balances, interest income has also reduced significantly from 21.7 in 2014 to 5.18 in 2020. This is a fund that is clearly on life support. Unfortunately, the mismanagement of the National Health Insurance Scheme is affecting the survival of health facilities that offer treatment to National Health Insurance card holders. As of the end of March 2022, service providers were owed over 2.5 billion due to non-payment of claims filed as far back as July 2021. If you consider the fact that we are experiencing a hyperinflationary period with much inflation year on year being reported to have inched closer to 20%, one wonders how service providers who are owed as far back last year are supposed to manage to keep their businesses afloat. Ghanaians are losing hope in the National Health Insurance Scheme, contrary to what Akufo-Addo government wants us to believe. The average use of the scheme, or average encounter per member per year, has reduced from 2.87 a year in 2016 to 2.75 times a year in 2021 due to several factors. The fact that most private service providers are not prepared to offer services to card holders. National health insurance cards are now reduced to being used for primary and basic services at most health facilities. This is clearly expressed in the average claim per member reducing from 97.70 in 2016 to 69.02 Ghana cedis in 2021. Card holders have no faith that they will receive good service should they use their cards for secondary or tertiary health services. In addition, total annual claims and subsidies grew with utilization from 731.25 million in 2013 to 1.4 billion in 2017, only for same to drop to 1 billion in 2020. Clearly, service providers are opting to treat patients who pay cash or use private health insurance to patients who rely on the National Health Insurance Authority card. The fast diminishing value of the cedi also affects most inputs required within the health sector. As of March 2022, the cedi had lost 14.6% of its value. If the fund owed you 100,000 in December 2021, by the close of March, which is about a period of 3 months, you would have lost close to $14,600 in dollar terms within the 2 months, and yet still pray that your claims are paid. However, tariffs for health service providers have stayed stagnant since 2020. And I'll give you a few examples. OPD consultation remains steadfast at 19.5 Ghana cedis. Last but not least is the impact of capping on receipt of collections into the funds. The implementation of the Earmark Funds Capping and Realignment Act 2017 has led to a situation in which the already underfunded National Health Insurance Fund is having to contribute to a consolidated fund to be utilized at the discretion of the finance minister instead of being used to manage the health needs of Ghanaians. As usual, of the Vice President Bawumia and his stories of lies. His address to Young Elephant Tescon this year included several untruths. He said, among other things, that integration of the national ID card to the National Health Insurance Authority card is being done at no cost to the scheme, and that the scheme is going to benefit from saving made through this integration process. However, the fact remains within the 2022 National Health Insurance Fund allocation formula document that the National Health Insurance Authority is expected to pay 10.6 million Ghana cedis to the National Identification Authority for data integration. So it's not for free. What makes matters even worse is that his lies about the replacement of the National Health Insurance Authority card with Ghana card are also false. This year's allocation provides some 54.6 million for the printing of some 2.6 million National Health Insurance Authority cards at 26 Ghana cedis per one. So it is not true that we are not paying anything because of national ID cards. We cannot continue to lie our way into solving critical national problems. We cannot also continue to ignore flagrant violations of laws enacted to ensure good health care for all Ghanaians. We cannot allow the future of the scheme to be hijacked by Nado and his law-breaking finance minister. The National Health Insurance Scheme is collapsing not because of inadequate funds or inadequate legislation, but purely as a result of poor public financial management of the fund. In concluding, we would like to remind our Bible-quoting finance minister to read what Jesus said in Mark 12:17. Give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what's God's, and do accordingly. Give funds collected in the name of the National Health Insurance Scheme to the National Health Insurance Scheme, period. I thank you for the opportunity.